Hello everyone, welcome to this important discussion. Today we're talking about why it's time to rebrand Africa. For far too long, others have defined our continent. But now, it's time for us to take control of our narrative, embrace self-reliance, and build a future that reflects our true potential. Let's start with the problem. For decades, Africa has been portrayed as a continent of poverty, hunger, and conflict. In 2000, The Economist called Africa the hopeless continent. By 2011, they changed their tune with an Africa Rising cover, but the damage had already been done. And it's not just the media. Remember when former US President Donald Trump referred to Lesotho as a country nobody has heard of? Or when he mispronounced Namibia as Nambia? Or, most infamously, when he reportedly called African nations shithole countries? These remarks are not just offensive, they reflect a broader issue, the persistent misrepresentation of Africa by the outside world. But let's be clear, this is not the true Africa. We are a continent of 54 diverse nations, rich in culture, resources, and innovation. Look at South Africa's MTN, a telecommunications giant connecting millions across the continent. Or Nigeria's Dangote Group, a global industrial powerhouse. Ethiopian Airlines is one of the most successful airlines in the world, and Kenya's Safaricom M-Pesa has revolutionized mobile banking. These are not just businesses. They are symbols of African ingenuity and resilience. They prove that we are more than capable of building globally competitive brands. Now let's talk about the wake-up call. The recent departure of USAID and the reduction of American assistance to Africa should remind us of one thing. We cannot rely on external aid to shape our destiny. Countries like Mali and Burkina Faso are already leading the way. They're taking control of their natural resources like uranium, and cutting out the middlemen who have historically exploited them. This is the spirit of self-determination that Africa needs. So what's the solution? It's time for African countries to come together under the African Union and enact a Buy African Act. This would promote a brand-led, Made in Africa agenda, prioritizing African-made goods and services. This isn't a new idea. In 1933, the U.S. implemented the Buy American Act, which required that at least 50% of government procurement be made in America. This policy helped build the U.S. into an economic superpower with globally desired brands, a strong military, and unmatched soft power. Africa can do the same. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, ratified in 2018, is a historic step toward economic integration. But for it to succeed, we must prioritize African-made goods and services. We must support our entrepreneurs, invest in our industries, and create a market that values what we produce. Beyond economics, we must also tell our own stories. For too long, the narrative of Africa has been shaped by non-Africans. According to the media advocacy group Africa No Filter, over 60% of the people who write about Africa are not even based on the continent. We cannot allow others to define us. Through media, art, music, and culture, we must showcase the true Africa, a continent of innovation, beauty, and potential. Ladies and gentlemen, the dream of a prosperous Africa is not a pipe dream. It is within our reach, but it requires action, unity, and a commitment to self-reliance. We must believe in ourselves. The greatest obstacle to our progress is not a lack of resources or talent, it is a lack of confidence in our own abilities. We must reject the notion that African brands are inferior. We must take pride in what we create and consume what we produce. Let us seize this moment to rebrand Africa, not as a continent in need of saving, but as a continent on the rise. Thank you for watching. If you believe in the future of Africa, share this video, and let's start a movement to rebrand our continent. Together we can build a resilient, competitive, and independent Africa. Until next time, I'm your name. And this is why it's time to rebrand Africa.